There are stories that roar and stories that whisper. Stories that crash into the galaxy with thunder and spectacle. And then there are stories like Andor, quiet, patient, relentless. The kind that doesn't ask for attention, it earns it. It slips beneath your skin without warning, and lingers like a truth you can't unsee. This isn't a tale of prophecy or chosen bloodlines. It's a story of dirt and sacrifice, of ordinary lives turned extraordinary, not by fate, but by choice. It peels back the armor, dismantles the myth, and shows us rebellion not as legend, but as necessity. Every decision feels weighted with consequence and carved from conviction. You won't find Jedi here. No sabers, no destiny. Just men and women standing in hallways, arguing over credits, risking everything, bleeding for scraps of freedom they may never live to see. And somehow, that makes it more powerful than anything else in the galaxy. Because this isn't magic, it's method. It's survival etched into every frame. Every glance holds weight. Every silence burns deeper than dialogue. There's no mercy in this world. Only compromise. Only loss. But even in the ashes, there's resolve. A glimmer of something eternal, carved into every word like a monument to defiance. This is not about winning. It's about enduring. Until the galaxy remembers who lit the first spark. Because Andor doesn't just build a rebellion. It builds belief. Not in symbols, not in slogans, but in people. In conviction. In the fire that spreads, not from explosions, but from whispers in the dark, from choices made in solitude, from courage that doesn't need a costume. It's a story that breathes, and every breath feels earned. In this video, we explore how Andor Season 2 reshaped Star Wars into something unshakable. We uncover the brilliance behind its pacing, the beauty in its silence, the meaning behind its sorrow, and why, without a single lightsaber, it became one of the greatest stories this universe has ever told. This isn't a debate, it's a reckoning, and it begins now. There's something strange happening in the galaxy right now, a ripple beneath the surface, a shift in the Force that feels quieter than most. Andor Season 2 didn't arrive with thunder. It crept in like rebellion itself, subtle, focused, relentless. We've seen shows, chase spectacle, lightsabers flashing, nostalgia dripping, cameos stitched into the seams like emotional bait. But Andor doesn't do that. It doesn't need to, because it understands something deeper, something raw. It asks us to listen instead of cheer, to feel instead of escape, to watch systems crumble and people rise, not with destiny, but with defiance. It builds tension, not with force powers, but with politics, prison bars, and whispered plans in empty rooms. And yet somehow, it becomes more powerful than anything the galaxy has shown us in years. More grounded, more focused, more human. You start to realize this isn't just another Star Wars show. It's a mirror held to power, and a reminder that resistance is never easy. So we lean in with curiosity. We search for why this show feels different, why it lingers longer than blasters and battleships, why its silence screams louder than any explosion, and why, in the quiet corners of the galaxy, Andor might just be the best story they've ever told. Why did it take this long for Star Wars to take itself seriously? Why did we have to wade through endless callbacks and half-finished arcs to finally get here? Andor didn't reinvent the galaxy. It just respected it. It treated its audience like they were capable of more. We waited through a decade of distractions. Stories that promised depth, but offered noise. Tales that danced around trauma without showing it. Characters that spoke of revolution without understanding what it costs. Then Andor arrived, and pulled the veil off. It showed us pain without fanfare, showed us villains without cloaks, showed us courage in quiet conversations, and defiance in stolen glances. It trusted the audience to care without manipulation, to sit in silence, to earn the moment. And that's what hurts the most, knowing that this was always possible, that Star Wars had the pieces. But it chose the shortcut every time, chose the meme over the message, the raw over the truth, until now. So yes, it's frustrating because Andor proves what we always knew, that this galaxy could be more, that it didn't have to be loud to be meaningful. And maybe, just maybe, if they had started here, Star Wars would be in a very different place. There is grief layered into every scene of Andor. Grief for lives lost, for lives wasted, for empires that crush slowly, not with a blade, but with paperwork, deadlines and silence. It's not cinematic sadness. It's the kind that lives under your skin. You feel it in the way Luthen speaks, in the way Mon Mothma folds her hands when no one is looking, in the way Cassian stops pretending he can outrun who he is. This show doesn't just explore loss, it breathes in it. It survives it. Even the victories feel hollow, feel temporary, because they are. This isn't a story about triumph, it's about sacrifice, about what you give up when you choose to fight. about how freedom is bought, not with glory, but with guilt. There are moments so quiet, you almost miss them. A nod between allies, a scream that never escapes the lips, a look that says goodbye without ever speaking the word. This is where the real rebellion lives. In the places no one cheers for. And that is why it hurts. Because it's honest. Because it doesn't flinch. Because for the first time, Star Wars feels like it understands the cost of its own mythology, and it lets us mourn alongside it. What they've built in Andor is nothing short of extraordinary. Not because of explosions, but because of stillness. Because of the weight each line carries. Because of the craftsmanship in every frame. It's art. In the truest sense. The world feels lived in, not manufactured. The politics are rich with texture. The dialogue hums with electricity. There's no filler here. No wasted movement. Every scene matters. Every breath feels earned. You watch the editing and feel tension rise like a tide. You hear the score whisper instead of scream. You feel the dread crawl beneath your ribs. It's more than a show. It's a machine. Built with precision. Fueled by performance. And the acting. The acting is otherworldly. Stellan Skarsgård speaks like he's carving stone. Genevieve O'Reilly breathes history into every line. Diego Luna holds an entire galaxy behind his eyes. This is not fan service. This is character mastery. It reminds you why we fell in love with stories in the first place. Not for lasers, not for Easter eggs, but for truth. And Andor, somehow, tells the truest story Star Wars has ever dared to show. But even in its darkest moments, Andor never loses sight of something precious. Hope, not the kind that comes easy. Not the kind you chant like a slogan, but the kind you earn. The kind you fight for. It's in the prison riot, in the sacrifice on the tower, in the words left behind. It's in the way strangers become brothers, the way pain becomes purpose, the way rebellion becomes real. This show doesn't just talk about change. It shows you how it starts, with one person, then another, until the silence breaks, until someone says enough, and someone listens. And that is the legacy of Andor. Not just that it's brilliant, but that it believes in people. Believes that we can choose to fight back, choose to care, choose to matter. So yes, there is hope. Not because the show is optimistic, but because it's honest, and honesty, in a galaxy built on illusion, might just be the most powerful weapon of all. And yet, we know how this story ends. We know where Cassian goes. We know what he becomes. We know what he gives, and what he loses. That's the tragedy that makes Andor unforgettable. This is not a victory lap. It's a requiem, a farewell in slow motion, a character study written like a warning, a blueprint for rebellion, and a eulogy for innocence. It stands above other shows not because it's bigger, but because it's braver. It tells the story others are afraid to tell, without the safety net of nostalgia, without the crutch of legacy, without pretending everything will be fine. Andor Season 2 is not just the best Star Wars show, it's a reminder of what storytelling can be. When you strip away the armor, when you dig through the myth, when you find the people beneath the legend. Because in the end, it leaves us with more than questions. It leaves us changed. And that, more than anything, is why this isn't up for debate.